Mixing allows us to balance, treat, and combine all tracks, edits, and effects into a single stereo or surround file. It is also an opportunity to creatively shape a unique identity for the music. Be sure to complete Lesson 2 in mixing before beginning the software spotlights in this unit. This video shows an overview of the Mix Console, the primary tool for mixing a Cubase project to a stereo or surround file. The Mix Console allows us to control levels, panning, and effects for audio and MIDI tracks while mixing. We can also use the Mix Console to set up input and output routing for multiple tracks. I will use the terms tracks and channels interchangeably in this demonstration. To open the Mix Console, go to the Devices menu and select Mix Console. You can also use the keyboard shortcut F3. Let's explore different sections of the Mix Console. Use the Setup Window Layout button on the toolbar to show or hide the Mix Console sections. This allows us to personalize the layout of the window. For this demonstration, I will activate all of the options. It is possible to resize a few of the sections. The fader section contains the central controls of the Mix Console. The faders are always visible, and they show the channels in the same order as the project window. Channels with a solid dot are visible, and channels with an empty dot are not visible. To view an individual channel, use Shift-click on the corresponding dot. The meter bridge allows us to monitor the levels of each track. The equalizer curve section allows us to draw and edit EQ curves. Configure the channel racks to show additional channel controls as needed. The Pictures section allows us to add a picture to any selected channel. Pictures help us identify channels quickly. Enter comments about each channel in the Notepad section. There are many ways to set up the Mix Console. We can configure the Mix Console to suit our individual needs and mixing styles. Use the Channel and Rack Configuration tool to save and recall presets. The Channel Types selector allows us to choose the channel types to display. Use the Channel Rack to organize the display of signal routing, inserts, EQ, and sends. Advanced signal routing is beyond the scope of this unit. For more information on routing, refer to the manual page 146. We will focus on the insert and EQ racks. Let's take a closer look at the fader section. First, I will simplify the display of the Mix Console. The fader section contains the central controls of the Mix Console and displays audio and MIDI tracks, as well as racks for effects and EQ. The faders are always visible and show the tracks in the same order as shown in the project window. Use the Zoom palette to increase or reduce the channel width and height, or use the keyboard controls. From each fader, we can set pan, solo or mute the channel, set the volume, add inserts using the edit channel settings, and enable automation using the right automation tool. The pan control is at the top of each fader. C stands for center, and you can make adjustments by moving left and right. Hold Shift to make fine adjustments, and use Control for PC or Command for Mac, plus click to restore back to default center. Double-click to edit the panning numerically. Use negative values to pan left. Use the mute and solo buttons to mute or solo specific channels. Use the edit button to open the channel settings window. I will go over the channel settings window later in the video. Each volume fader controls settings depending on the channel type, either audio, MIDI, or output. For example, the stereo output. The numerical levels are displayed beneath the faders. For audio channels, the fader controls the volume of the channel before it is routed to an output bus, in this case, the stereo output. The level meters display decibels, or dB. Use the Inserts rack to insert effects for audio channels. Click Racks to activate the Inserts rack. Click an insert slot to open the insert selector. Then click on a slot and choose an effect which will load automatically. You can then double-click the insert slot to make any edits. The EQ rack is available for audio channels only. This is a parametric equalizer with up to 4 bands for each audio channel. A parametric EQ allows us to control 3 different parameters of a frequency: the level or gain, the center frequency, and the Q or bandwidth of a frequency. Activate the equalizers in the racks. Click on EQ to expand the EQ rack. The on-off button activates the EQ module. The top slider controls the amount of gain. The range is between negative and positive 24 dB. Use the frequency slider to set the center frequency or the frequency range to attenuate or boost. Use the bottom slider to set the Q or width of the frequency range. Higher values give narrower frequency ranges. Click the top right corner to select the filter type. Listen to the changes in real time. We can also use the curve display to make changes. By clicking on the E button, we can access the Edit Channel Settings window. This window displays the inserts, the channel strip, which we'll use for the EQ, the sends section, and channel faders. Use the Setup Window Layout button to show or hide certain sections. One great feature of the Channel Settings window is the large EQ curve display with multiple modes. Click the green button to toggle between the graphic display, the EQ controls, and the EQ knobs display. Use Option-click on this dot to reset all EQ settings. The Show Output Chain button toggles the display on and off for the output chain, in this case the stereo output. Use the up and down arrow to scroll through each channel. This allows us to use the Channel Settings window to apply effects and EQ to any channel. To reset a channel to its default settings, open the Functions menu and select Reset Channel. Pictures in the Mix Console allow us to identify channels quickly. To add a picture, activate Pictures in the Setup window layout. Select a channel. You can choose from factory or user presets. Select the picture you wish to add. Click OK to add the picture. To remove a picture, click on the channel, click Reset Current Picture, and click OK. Refer to the manual page 167 for directions on adding your own picture. To add a note, activate the Notepad function. The notepad will appear above the fader. Double-click, add your note, and use Escape to exit. To enable automation, click on the Write Automation button. This will enable Cubase to capture fader movement. Activate Read Automation in Playback for the automation to take effect.